Hello, noble ones, and welcome to the Monetization Academy. Hello, noble one, and welcome to Metatron's Academy. Today we're talking about the F word, but from an academic standpoint, of course, things I do for you and research. So, we've got this. The earliest recording of the word F-U-C-K in 1885. Now, this begs the question, right before we listen to this. How will Metatron pay his mortgage considering demonetization? Okay, just stop it. How far back can we go and still find this word being used in the same way we use it today? You're going to have to read the subtitles because it's kind of difficult to hear. Wow, that was so interesting. I was not expecting Dragon Ball, but hey, not complaining. Okay, so can we make up the... So at the beginning it's really difficult to understand the words. Summer Tainter. H.G. Rogers. 1885. You can kind of still, yeah, then there is this sound that I don't know, I think it sounds a little theatrical. I imagine this was some kind of recording that they were doing. And yeah, I honestly, listening to it, not only he uses it the exact same way we do, and when I say the same way we do, in this specific case, clearly the guy is not talking about sexual intercourse. He's using the F word as an expletive attributive. In other words, the term is not actually adding any meaning to the sentence, but just increasing or intensifying its emotional force. He made a mistake and he's complaining about it. Mary had a little lamb, and his fleece was black as coal. It sounds genuine to me. I don't know, it could have been recorded as a joke, like on purpose, but it actually, I don't know, what do you guys think? To me, it sounds like, it's a new technology. He's trying to make this recording. He was doing his little performance, but then he forgot the words or got confused. And so he says this. That's what it sounds to me. And he uses it the exact same way, even the oh, oh, this is good. As a little interesting note, in this specific time, in 1885, so once again we're in Victorian period, the name Mary is actually quite similar to the way the verb to marry was pronounced. Very similar, vowel was almost the same. And also for the adjective merry, the one you use for Merry Christmas. They're not exactly the same, the art is slightly different, but all three are almost cognates when it comes to the sound. But regardless, now that we have heard this, 1885, is it? Yeah, 1885, and he's using it exactly as we would. How far back can you go? Excuse me, Dragon Ball, you're a little distracting here. How far back can we go to find this word, and where does it come from? What about the etymology? Well, believe it or not, it's actually quite difficult to trace, and it's a little bit obscure when it comes to its usage, also because it being a form of profanity, depending on the period, it's very likely that people did use it, but did not record the usage as much. The one thing that we can say for sure is that it's Germanic in origin, also because we have got a lot of cognate in several other Germanic and including Nordic languages, at least when it comes to the Oxford Dictionary. And interestingly enough, the Oxford English Dictionary does give a first citation in 1503. But it is possible, as I was saying, that this word was used in a similar way all the way up to at least the late 1300s, which means it was used in the medieval period. So you could at least go back in a similar form. You could most likely go back to all the way to the Middle Ages and still find it. Which begs another important question. Did medieval knights use it? Well, technically, it is possible, but is it likely? Well, I know already what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, no, because knights are like nobility, so upper class, and of course they wouldn't speak profanities and all that. But here's the thing: apart from the fact that just because someone is noble doesn't, by birth, doesn't mean that they wouldn't. Perhaps they wouldn't use it in public. Definitely wouldn't use it in front of the freaking king. But that doesn't mean that in their own privacy they wouldn't use it. But even if I wanted to play by your rules, okay, and I'm like, all right, let's say that the nobles don't use it. It still doesn't matter, because when we open at any image of iconography of medieval knights, apart from the nonsense, when we look at the image, knight is such a massive umbrella term, and oftentimes it's overused. For instance, yeah, sometimes we will see pictures, medieval pictures of people that do look like knights, but they might be saints, so it could be a representation of a saint. Angels are often represented in knightly armor, so sometimes you might go into a medieval church, and there are plenty of those back home in Europe, and you look at them like, oh, look, it's a knight. No, it's not, it's an angel. So here's another one. Sometimes you've got the Knight Templars, like in this case, but then again, yeah, this one specifically might be a knight, but as far as I remember, I'll have to double check the numbers, but I think only up to 10% of the Templars, members of the Templar orders, were actually knights. A lot were surgeons, a lot were chaplain, and so not every single Templar would be a knight. So once again, there is that. And in general, when we use the word knight, we mean mounted nobility. So if someone is not titled, they are not a knight. Yet, when we look at medieval iconography, a lot of the quote-unquote knights that we see fighting in plate armor or mail and helmets, a lot of these are men-at-arms. So they fight in the manner of the knight. They look identical to a knight, but they did not have the title. And so, yeah, I would imagine, even if we exclude the actual mounted nobility for a moment, because they wouldn't use it, although I still think they would, but whatever. Yeah, the men-at-arms, they look identical to knights, and I want to say, yeah, they absolutely use it. If they are trying for a lance charge and they miss the target, it is possible that they would have used something like that. Another thing that we need to consider is that there are quite a lot of urban legends, precisely because, as I say, we don't exactly know how to trace it with precision. And one of these urban legends is the idea that it's an acronym, and that's nonsense. There's no reason to think that. And for those who don't remember, an acronym is an abbreviation. Think of the word NASA, where you're only pronouncing the letters or initial letters of a word or a phrase in order to make it shorter. Another very famous acronym would be Muppet, which means Metatron unboxes pasta and pizza every time. Hey. Let's see what Cambridge has to say about it. Man, we're moving to Harvard after this one. Hey, look, this is one thing that both Americans and English seem to be in agreement on how to pronounce. A rude word meaning to have sex with someone in its most basic. F around and find out. Great. Yeah, excellent example. A rude word used when expressing extreme anger or to add force to what is being said. Sure. A rude word for an act of having sex. An offensive word for a sexual partner. I'm sorry, I never heard of that. You are my... I never heard of that. I don't know, you let me know if that's true. An offensive way of saying that you do not like, respect, or care about someone or something. I love it that they have to... That's very specific, and care. All right, F Cambridge. What's the next one? What extension? What are you on about? F you. Let me see if we can learn something else from this. The first recorded use of this word and its etymology are still disputed. The Oxford English Dictionary gives a first citation of 1503. Other sources claim dates that are only a little earlier than this. I really think we can go further back. Its first appearance in the dictionary spelled really, F-U-C-K-E. You know what? I might start spelling it like this when it comes to videos and stuff. And then when people are like, why are you spelling it like that? Oh, no, I'm just medieval. Late medieval, man, of course. I mean, if you looked at me, helmet, obviously. In 1598, well, early modern era, really, John Florio's Italian-English dictionary, how so, when the word is often referred to as Anglo-Saxon, it remains a bit of a mystery because most etymologies trace it back to old Germanic languages with an original meaning of to poke, prod, or prick. Well, yeah, we'll have to see about that. Which much reflection seems appropriate, I suppose. The search for its etymology is constrained by the fact that the word virtually disappeared from all legal printed materials between 1795 and 1960. I'm surprised. I mean, this implies that it was present in what? Legal material? to say what. During this period, it had become a taboo word, so much so that until the 1960s, the use of fuck, or that other one, in print was against the law and liable to prosecution. I did not know that. Ooh, that's insane. Is that true? We'll have to double check this one. It was included in the Oxford English Dictionary for the first time in 1972. Well, I mean, it does belong. I mean, if a word is used, a word is used. You know, it's just one of those things. Collins. So let's see what Collins has to say. Collins Dictionary. Exclamation, F-U-C-K, is used to express anger or annoyance. Very rude. Yeah, very rude. Exclamation. If someone uses an expression as F-it, F-you, or F-that, they are expressing anger or the fact that they do not care about someone or something. Very rude. Yeah, feelings. Yeah, feelings, absolutely. To have someone means to have sex with them. Thank you for the explanation. Very rude. I mean, sure, it is very rude. I'll give him that. It's also a noun, guys. It's a noun. It is a noun. Why are they trying to sell me Legos? In British English, taboo slang, to have sexual intercourse with someone, well, I think in any English, an act of sexual intercourse, yeah, a partner in sexual intercourse, especially one of specified competence or experience. I have never heard this usage ever again. So what would you say? He's an F? Oh yeah, the as F is so funny to me. In English, the way that we use it, or people use it, as a term of measure, a reference for measure. How did that one start? Well, maybe we started saying like, wow, it's hot as hell today. You know, it's a comparative. In comparison to hell, it's really hot, which wouldn't work in with the Old Norse and the Viking Age, because to them, hell, spelt with one L, was an icy place. So it's only when you connect hell to Christian tradition that it becomes a place of fire and heat. But in reality, in the original word, which is once again Norse, then it was actually a place of extreme cold. But regardless, I imagine when we started saying hot as hell, hot as F, hot as fuck. I'm going to say it once, shouldn't be demonetized. Oh, it's hot as fuck. It's funny because it's an item of measure. It's a measuring. Anyways. What's really funny about all this is that the word even has derivatives, such as the one adding mother to it, or as we said, the addition of off, up, yeah, the phrasal verbs. And if we really want to look at all of its usages, it can be used as a verb, as an adjective, as an infix, as an interjection, as an adverb, as a noun. Man, it's omnipresent. I would, generally speaking, consider it a pejorative. Although then again, it depends, I suppose, on the context, doesn't it? Might make your day much better depending on... Yeah. What's really funny about it is that there are full-on tutorials on YouTube on how to use the word properly. 50 ways to use... What on earth? English with Max. I'll have to check out this channel. Yeah, it's one of the most versatile words in the English language. Can't argue with that. It can be used as a noun, a verb, an interjection. Yeah, absolutely. In addition, you can add suffixes to it, yep, to get the words like these two. It is also used in many expressions, phrasal verbs, yep, and compound nouns. In this video, you learn more than 50 uses of this word. That is education if I've ever seen it. Please note, it's a very vulgar word, yes. It is important to understand how... Maybe I would have put this one above the fold, but here we are. It's important to understand how it is used, but you don't need to use it. If you choose to use it, I recommend only using it in very informal context. In other words, if you're a medieval knight watching this, don't use it in front of the king. Just don't. Just trust me, bro. Just trust me. Preferably with people whom you know well. Well, yeah, definitely. You don't want to F with people you don't know well. It is best not to use it too often. Okay, so let's see etymon What do they tell us? To have sexual intercourse with transitive. Sorry, I forgot about the quotes. Until recently, a difficult word to trace in usage, in part because it was omitted as taboo by the editors of the original. Yes, we know that. The Penguin Dictionary broke the taboo in the latter year. The Penguin, guys. It was the Penguin. I have no idea how to read this. Mifflin followed in 1969 with the American Heritage Dictionary, but it also published a clean green edition without the word to assure itself access to the public high school market. Makes sense. Make two versions, green and not green. Written form attested from at least early 16th century. Second edition 1503. Oh gosh, they wrote it as a single word. That's insane. Just, yeah. And the earliest attested appearance of current spelling in 1535. Interesting. presumably it is more ancient word. Yeah, I honestly think it goes all the way back to, in its origin, etymologically, not in a way that we would recognize, but etymologically, 100% it goes all the way back. I mean, I can't say 100%, but very likely goes all the way back to like ancient Germanic languages, like who knows how ancient, in its etymology, I mean. But one not written in the kind of text that have survived from Old English and Middle English, yes. The verb appears to have been found recently in an English court manuscript from 1310. I told you guys, I said late 1300s. I correct myself. It seems like early 1300s, which confirms it. I think knights used it. Buck cites proper names, John Lee, it's actually his name is Fucker, from 1278. Late 13th century. But that surname could have had other explanations. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe we'll need to hire a private eye. The word apparently hinted at it in a scurrilous 15th century poem titled Flain Flins. All right, I see. And friars, written in bastard Latin, those bastards, and Middle English. The relevant line reads, non sunt in Celi, I'm reading it in ecclesiastical, quia fucant vius of Eli. They, the monks, are not in heaven because they fuck the wives of the town. Oh my gosh, that's insane. Yeah, so, by the way, if any of you is surprised about this and you're like, wait, but medieval people, I thought that they wouldn't use profanity, and also when it comes to sexual purity and they would have been very Puritan. You might think that, and you would be wrong, because the Middle Ages, when it comes to jokes and joking around of the people and the common folks, it's full of double entendre and sexual jokes everywhere. And this is a characteristic of the medieval period. People loved these. They laughed about it. Given it, you wouldn't hear a bishop during a mass in a cathedral use profanities like that. And possibly, as I say, because we often have this image of like, that's just one of the three typical elements of society, which is the farmers, the clergy, and the warrior class. So there's the soldiers. Like, this is how society was divided into three in the medieval period. And yeah, I mean, the clergy is not everything. And as you see, it seems like they're being made fun of a little bit, because I think that in the medieval mind, that would have been really funny as a joke. So, as it's explaining here, there are indeed Germanic words of similar form, F plus vowels plus consonant, and with the meaning to copulate, and these are numerous, which is why I think it's difficult to really 100% understand, well, this is definitely the one that originated, and then some, through the Anglo-Saxons arriving in the British Isles, and then the Normans, and then we'll go English, and so it's all connected. I think the line is kind of difficult to trace, but I do believe we can strongly say, due to the fact that there are cognates, that very likely it's a word that its origins inside of the Germanic world. The abbreviation F, the one I'm using, or F, yeah, probably began as euphemistic, but by 1943, it was regarded as a cuss word in its own right. Wow. So I'm still cursing. Yeah, I'm cursed. What can I say? In 1948, the publishers of The Naked and the Dead persuaded Norman Mailer to use the euphemism fug. I see. How is that better than F? I'm sorry. I don't get it. F is better at this point. When Mailer later was introduced to Dorothy Parker, she greeted him with, open quotes, "So you are the man who can't spell..." Oh, I see. The quip sometimes is attributed to this person, Bankhead, as a written euphemism. Muck is attested by 1929. And here is a nice Google Trends. Yeah, you can see, and I think it's going to continue to go up, my friends. It's going to continue to go up. It is what it is. In fact, the verb is even more useful, and the verb winning over the noun, apparently. How interesting. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the little episode today. More videos to come, and thank you for joining Metadots Academy. Be academic. You muppet.